The Boston Red Sox had so much momentum on their side after grabbing a win in Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS. But how exactly did the rest of the comeback unfold? We're about to relive the experience on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it's all free. So if you want to tune into some daily Red Sox talk, Locked On Red Sox is here for you every day. This episode of Locked On Red Sox is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Welcome to another special edition of Locked On Red Sox. If you are an everydayer on this show, shout out to you if you have been here since the beginning. And if you are one of those everydayers, you know that for the past several Thursdays, I have been reliving the 2004 historic season for the Boston Red Sox in honor of this being the 20th anniversary of that year. So my 20th anniversary edition of the show. So I am bringing you the 8th edition of that special. This is a 10-week series, so 2 more weeks after this left, and you'll definitely not want to miss those because there will be some fun things happening on those couple episodes, I can assure you. And speaking of championship teams, if you are watching this on YouTube right now, you can see that I am wearing a Boston Celtics championship shirt. Had to rep our basketball team over in Boston as well. Just a lot of championship teams in the 2004 Boston. So what better way than to celebrate a championship team with another championship team's attire on? So last Thursday, I walked through and relived the first 4 games of the ALCS in 2004 and how those games unfolded. So now on today's show, I'm going to be going over games 5 through 7 and how those panned out and how exactly the Red Sox won each of those games. So heading into game 5, the Red Sox did have some momentum going for them because they had won a game. They weren't going to get swept by the Yankees in 4 games in the ALCS and get embarrassed. And game 5 was another grind that went 14 innings, and the Red Sox were not backing down. They just had fresh energy and just a new outlook on the series. And their mindset was just one more day, one game at a time. And they had Pedro Martinez ready to start. Many of the Red Sox players had bought into Kevin Millar's mantra before game 4, which was the famous "Don't let us win today" line that goes down in history as just one of the most legendary lines ever. Bill Miller did say coming right back for game 5 was an advantage for us. There was no stoppage. The games were running late, and then you turn right back around and do it again. I think that was a plus. You step out for 2 days and then come back in, some of that momentum could be squandered. Instead, it stayed at the ballpark. It kept going in our direction. Pedro going into the game certainly wasn't a lock against the Yankees. He had his struggles. He had 31 starts against them in his career, and the team was 11-20 in those starts. In the 2004 season, he was 1-3 with a 5.29 ERA, combining the regular and postseason. So he stepped on the mound, and obviously Red Sox fans had some reason to be nervous, but he did strike out leadoff batter Derek Jeter on 3 pitches, and then he walked Alex Rodriguez and then struck out Gary Sheffield and got Hideki Matsui to fly out to center. So good first inning for him. Red Sox fans were probably holding their breaths through every single single pitch, myself included. There's something about the playoff baseball atmosphere that just is so stressful, especially in this type of situation when every game moving forward was an elimination game for the Red Sox. Mike Mussina started the game for the Yankees, and the Red Sox got to him for 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning. 3 singles in succession, with the third one being an RBI single by David Ortiz, produced the first run. And then a bases loaded walk to Jason Varitek, who was batting right-handed against a right-handed pitcher for only the second time in his major league career. He had been 4 for 49 with a .082 batting average against Mussina. So that was a pretty scary number, but he produced the second run with that walk. And then in the top of the second inning, Bernie Williams homered to right field on the first pitch that Pedro threw him, which was his 21st postseason home run. It was then 2-1 through the first 5 innings, with both pitchers having settled down after that. So a rough start for both, but they were able to clean things up and keep it a low-scoring game, each of which were giving their teams a chances to win. Then in the top of the 6th inning, Pedro gave up 2 singles and hit Miguel Cairo. The bases were loaded with 2 outs, and then Jeter doubled down the right field line on Pedro's 100th pitch, clearing the bases and giving the Yankees a 4-2 lead. And then Pedro hit the next batter too, which was A-Rod. And at this point, broadcaster Tim McGarver actually suggested that it looked intentional, which, whether it was or wasn't, we don't really know, but wouldn't be surprised either way, because again, it was the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry. Then he walked Gary Sheffield, but Matsui lined out to end the inning. Pedro was done, though, and Mike Timlin took over in the 7th, with the Yankees still having a 4-2 lead. Then in the bottom of the 7th inning, Mark Bellhorn led off with a double to right field, and manager Joe Torre beckoned Tanyan Storze in to relieve. He induced a pop-up, but then walked Orlando Cabrera. So Torre called on Tom Gordon to pitch to Manny Ramirez. He got Manny to ground into a 5-4-3 double play, so it ended up being the right move there by Torre. Then Big Papi led off the bottom of the 8th inning with the Red Sox down to their last 6 outs. And on the second pitch, he homered off of Gordon. Then Millar walked. And then in kind of an eerie replay of Game 4's 9th inning, Dave Roberts came in to run for Millar, with the Red Sox needing just 1 run to tie the game. There was no stolen base, but Trot Nixon lined a single to center, and Roberts made it to third on that. So then the Yankees Hall of Fame closer Mariano Rivera was summoned. He got Jason Varitek to fly out to straightaway center field, but Roberts easily tagged up and scored the tying run, making it a sac fly. For the second game in a row, Mariano had blown a save. The score was tied 4-4. So that was definitely tough for him, but not tough for the Red Sox because they tied the game and stayed alive. Then Keith Folke held the Yankees scoreless in the top of the 9th inning. 3 Red Sox starters, Curt Schilling, Derek Lowe, and Tim Wakefield, walked out to the Red Sox bullpen in a show of all hands on deck solidarity, letting everybody know that if they lost this game, it was all over. And then Mariano held the Red Sox scoreless in the bottom of the 9th. So as was the case the night before, the game was getting into the late hours and the temperature had dropped into the 40s. So it was pretty cold. And then Bronson Arroyo took over after Folke, and the Yankees didn't get the ball out of the infield in the top of the 10th inning. Felix Heredia took over for Mariano and struck out David Ortiz. But after Doug Minkowicz hit a ground rule double, Quantrill replaced Heredia, and he retired the next 2 batters. Mike Myers and Alan Embry struck out 3 batters in the Yankees' 11th inning, but there was a single in the mix too, but got the job done for sure. And then in the bottom of the 11th, back-to-back singles by Bill Miller and Mark Bellhorn showed some promise for the Red Sox in the inning, but Johnny Damon's attempt at a bunt ended up in the catcher Jorge Posada's glove in fair territory. So he recorded the out, and then Esteban Loaiza took the ball, and Orlando Cabrera hit into a 6-4-3 double play to end the momentum, and the game kept going. Tim Wakefield then became the 7th pitcher of the night for the Red Sox, Loaiza was New York's 7th pitcher as well. And then each team got one runner on base in the 12th, but neither team scored. I mean, back when they didn't have this ghost runner rule, these innings and games could have lasted forever. Neither team scored in the 13th either, but Wakefield's knuckleball proved very challenging for his catcher. Doug Mirabelli had caught Wakefield for all but 2 innings during the regular season. So as a result, Jason Varitek, who wasn't as comfortable with it, was charged with 3 passed balls in the 1 inning, the first on a batter Wakefield had struck out. The Yankees then got runners on second and third with 2 outs, but Wakefield struck out Ruben Sierra swinging, and Varitek was able to hold on to the pitch to finish the inning, which ended up being huge because then Loaiza put down the Red Sox 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 13th, and Wakefield put down the Yankees 1-2-3 in the top of the 14th. So then it comes to the bottom of the 14th inning. Fans are probably freezing at this point that are at the game, and people are like, this just needs to end. So then Loaiza struck out Bellhorn in the 14th inning, but walked Johnny Damon. He then struck out Cabrera, but walked Manny. So 2 on with 2 out for the Red Sox. And then Curtis Laskanik was up in the Red Sox bullpen, throwing and ready to go in if the game went to the 15th. Luckily, though, that didn't have to be the case because who would step up in that situation but the Red Sox face of the franchise at the time and Big Papi himself. This game had already become the longest by innings in Major League Baseball postseason history. So then Big Papi stepped into the box, probably knowing that, and said, we need to end this game. He was the hero of Game 4, and he was also the hero of Game 5. He battled very hard in his at-bat. The pitch sequence ended up being pitch 1, a fastball low and outside. He took a big cut but swung and missed for an 0-1 count. Pitch 2 was wide outside, but he took the pitch 1-1 count. Pitch 3 was a foul ball right on the fat part of the plate for a 1-2 count. Pitch 4, another foul for 1-2. Pitch 5 was a long, deep foul to right field, still with a 1-2 count. Pitch 6 was a ball to make it 2-2. And pitch 7, 8, and 9 were all foul balls. So the count remained 2-2 for 4 pitches. All 3 of these were pitches David Ortiz was fighting off. All 3 fouls going into the grandstands or seats on the third base side. And then on the 10th pitch of the at-bat, Loaiza's 59th pitch in relief, Big Papi seemed to fight it off, maybe even breaking his bat, but the ball dropped in and it ended up being a little blooper to center field to score Johnny Damon, and the Red Sox walked it off. Bernie Williams didn't even attempt a throw. That was the 3rd playoff win in a row that David Ortiz had won with his bat, and he had driven in 3 of Boston's 5 runs. In the game, the Yankees had been 1 for 13 with a player in scoring position, leaving 18 men on base. And the Red Sox had been 1 for 12 before that Ortiz hit with 10 players left on base. So it was a really huge game for the Red Sox in that one. And then it led to a very eventful Game 6 after the Red Sox walked off Game 5 and won 5-4. Coming up, I'm going to be going over everything that happened in that famous Game 6, so you certainly won't want to miss it. Here on Locked On Red Sox, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collections season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A-plus rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in this episode description below. I'm an independent contractor here with Locked On. So Tax Network USA has been very helpful to me because it can be so confusing filing taxes that way. So you should utilize them as well. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. I don't know much at all about cars, so eBay Motors has absolutely been super helpful for me, and it can help you too. You should also check out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. All of our experts here at Locked On will keep you updated on all things going on in sports, so make sure you check that out today. Heading into Game 6 of the 2004 ALCS, the Red Sox were starting to gain more and more momentum after coming off of 2 straight wins in Games 4 and 5. They just needed to win this game to force an anything can happen Game 7, and that game ended up becoming known famously as the Bloody Sock game. Momentum just seemed to be on the Red Sox side, and they were ready to go. The Yankee Stadium faithful were amped up for this game. Before the game, Fox TV broadcaster Joe Buck admitted that while he had done a lot of games at Yankee Stadium over the years, he couldn't ever remember it being more alive than it was for that game. Game 6 featured a matchup between right-handed John Lieber for the Yankees and Curt Schilling for the Red Sox. Lieber had been 14-8 in the regular season and was the winner in Game 2, a 3-1 win in which he gave up only 3 hits in the 7 innings he worked. Schilling had famously declared he'd come to Boston in the previous winter to win a world championship for the Red Sox. He had been co-MVP for the Diamondbacks in the 2001 World Series against the Yankees. And that year, he had a 21-6 season for the Red Sox, the 21 wins leading both leagues. But Schilling had injured his right ankle in Game 1 of the division series and was ineffective in Game 1 of the ALCS, giving up 6 runs in 3 innings. So he certainly wanted to be able to redeem himself there. Schilling and Red Sox Dr. Bill Morgan had agreed on a radical surgical procedure that would temporarily bind his ankle tendons into place and possibly allow him to pitch again. Years later, he said there was no precedent for what I was about to do. I was excited, but I was also terrified. I was getting ready to pitch in Yankee Stadium against the Yankees in front of Yankee fans. Before Game 1, I made a comment about shutting up 50,000 people in New York. I always enjoyed saying and doing those things because I felt to put extra pressure on myself, which I liked. But before Game 6, I didn't do any of that. Theo Epstein, who was the Red Sox GM at the time, admitted that the team had no idea what would happen with his ankle. They weren't sure if he was going to go out there and throw one warm-up pitch and fall down and have to be taken off the field. Was he going to throw 82 miles an hour? Was he going to be able to throw strikes? They really weren't sure. So everybody was holding their breath for every pitch. Before he threw his first pitch in the bottom of the first inning, the television cameras picked up blood soaking through his white sock, seepage from the incision as he warmed up in the bullpen before the game. And the ankle appeared to hold up under the strain of his delivery. 1 pitch, 1 out because Derek Jeter flied out to right, and then he pitched a lengthy 8-pitch at-bat to Alex Rodriguez that resulted in a liner to shortstop. Gary Sheffield popped up to first base, so no doubt he picked up considerable confidence in setting down the side in order in that inning. He ended up retiring the first 8 batters he faced. Neither team scored for the first 3 innings, and then 3 consecutive Red Sox singles, one of them a bunt by Jason Varitek, posed a bases loading threat in the second inning, but Mark Bellhorn grounded into an inning-ending double play, so the Red Sox could not capitalize on the opportunity. In the top of the fourth inning, the Red Sox banged out 4 runs. With 2 outs, Kevin Millar doubled into the left field corner. He then took third base on a wild pitch and scored on Jason Varitek's single to straightaway center, which got the Red Sox some momentum. Orlando Cabrera dropped a single into left, and the Red Sox had runners on first and second. And then Bellhorn hit a ball over the left field wall that bounced off a fan's chest and landed back on the field. At first, the hit was ruled a double because the ump had thought the ball hit the wall. But after the 6 umpires got together and figured it out, it was correctly changed to a home run to give the Red Sox that 4-0 lead. The 2 runs were Bellhorn's first RBIs of the postseason. So definitely a great way for the Red Sox to continue this game with themselves on the winning side. That was all the lead that they needed in the game. Schilling then gave up back-to-back singles to A-Rod and Sheffield in the bottom of the fourth, but got Hideki Matsui to pop up foul near first base. Schilling was forced to run off the mound when Bernie Williams grounded to first. He limped over to cover first base for the out, and then Jorge Posada grounded out unassisted also to first base. Schilling was still pitching, and then in the bottom of the seventh, Bernie Williams hit a home run off of him into the upper deck in right field, a few feet inside the foul pole to give the Yankees a run, and then the Red Sox did not score in the top of the eighth. Schilling ended up departing after 7 innings, which, considering the fact that he was literally bleeding before the game, it's impressive he got that deep in. So then Bronson Arroyo came in and struck out Tony Clark, but Miguel Cairo doubled right down the right field line into the corner. Then Jeter laced a first pitch single to left, giving the Yankees another run, 4-2. And then A-Rod was up, which was the tying run. Yankees fans were screaming for him to tie the game. He hit the ball, but it was an infield dribbler along the first baseline that Arroyo gloved. When he went to tag A-Rod, A-Rod swatted at Arroyo's gloved hand, knocking the ball loose, and then it rolled foul out toward right field. Jeter ran all the way around the bases and crossed the plate, and everybody thought that it was a 1-run game at the point. But Terry Francona ran out to protest, and then the umpires congregated for another meeting. And then plate umpire Joe West had seen everything clearly and ended up calling A-Rod out for interference, and Jeter was sent back to first base. He would have been on second if A-Rod hadn't slapped the ball and just been tagged out, but he ended up costing the Yankees the opportunity to have a runner in scoring position. Trot Nixon later said, "The last time I saw something like that was probably in a wiffle ball game in the backyard." Yankees fans were very angry at the call and began throwing bottles and other debris onto the field. The Red Sox left their positions to take shelter in the dugout, and then when they resumed play after about 10 minutes, a large number of NYC police officers in riot gear were lined up along each foul line to make sure that didn't happen again. Then Matsui popped up foul to Varitek behind home plate to end the inning. And then in the top of the ninth, the Red Sox did get a single off Paul Quantrill and a walk off Tanyan Stortze, but Stortze then induced back-to-back pop-ups to shortstop, so the Red Sox were not able to increase their 4-2 lead. Keith Folke came in and walked leadoff batter Matsui in the bottom of the ninth and struck out Bernie Williams as the clock struck midnight. So many long games in this series. He then induced Jorge Posada to pop up foul to Bill Miller at third base. He walked Ruben Sierra, bringing Tony Clark to the plate as the potential pennant-winning run. But there was a sense of foreboding among Red Sox executives, and John Henry said he had never, ever felt such stress in his life. And the hearts of Red Sox fans everywhere were pounding because one swing of the bat, the Red Sox season could have been over. Epstein said it was the most anxious moment of the series. He said Folke had been superhuman through the whole series and had thrown so many pitches, his arm should have been falling out. And in fact, it probably did negatively impact the rest of his career. which went downhill after that postseason. But Clark comes up to bat against Folky, and I was thinking that one swing of the bat could end this thing when we're so close to getting to game 7. I could barely watch. I think I watched that whole at bat through the cracks of my fingers, covering my eyes. I felt like a year after the Aaron Boone experience, which was the 2003 ALCS loss, we were potentially going to see it again, and that might have been more than I could have handled. But all the nerves ended up being 4-0 as Folky closed out the game, but there certainly was drama with runners on first and second. The Red Sox outfielders played deep to try to prevent a double. The count ran to 3-2 on Tony Clark, but then Folky got him swinging through a high fastball. So then the Red Sox just jumped with relief, and Folky said to a teammate, "Got to make it interesting." No team in Major League history had ever come back from 0-3 to play a game 7 until that moment. And then the pressure was truly on the Yankees not to blow it at that point. And coming up next, we are going to be talking about that legendary record-breaking game that we will never, ever forget as Red Sox fans. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities. With hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival's city. I used Booking.com all the time when I worked at ESPN because I lived pretty far from the Bristol campus and had to commute. So if there was a big snowstorm going on, they would put me up in a hotel, and I would use Booking.com to get those hotels because I could accumulate just some money saving opportunities and discounts. So it really is a great way to book lots of different travel opportunities. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. If you love to travel and want to see more baseball stadiums, Booking.com is absolutely the way to go to help book your stay. Are you struggling to close deals? B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn's Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockdown. That is linkedin.com/lockdown for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockdown and get started. I used to work in sales, and believe me when I say I wish that I had this resource. So if you do, it could be an absolute game changer for you. This is also your reminder to check out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app, because we will keep you up to date on all things going on in sports, no matter where you are. So be sure to check that out today. Heading into the famous Game 7 between the Red Sox and Yankees in the 2004 ALCS, the Red Sox had literally just won 3 games in a row and forced a Game 7 and were on the brink of making history. And the pressure became all on the Yankees because the Red Sox really were playing with nothing to lose at that point. So to begin Game 7, Yankees manager Joe Torre started righty Kevin Brown. In 2004, he had been 10-3 through August, but he'd lost all 3 of his starts in September, and he had been very inconsistent in the postseason. There were 56,129 fans packing Yankee Stadium. Most of them were Yankees fans, desperate to finally finish off the Red Sox and get back to the World Series. The Red Sox, who had been the wild card team in 2004, were looking like pushovers in the first 3 games. But the self-proclaimed idiots showed resilience and a winning spirit. in games 4 through 6, and they certainly carried that over into game 7. Brown was a bust in game 7. Johnny Damon led off for the Red Sox and singled to left on the 6th pitch, then stole second base. Brown then struck out Bellhorn, and when Manny Ramirez singled to left, Damon was cut down at the plate on a relay, setting off a roar from the Yankees faithful. But then Big Papi swung at the first pitch he saw and homered a couple of rows deep into the short porch in right field. It was 2-0 after the first inning. And then Red Sox starter Derek Lowe set down the Yankees in order. Brown got Trot Nixon to ground out in the top of the second, but that was the only out he got. Kevin Millar singled, and then Brown walked Bill Miller and shortstop Orlando Cabrera. Torrey then made a move and beckoned in Javier Vasquez from the bullpen. Johnny Damon crushed the first pitch Vasquez threw for a grand slam to right field to give the Red Sox a 6-0 lead. So any air of optimism Yankees fans were harboring evaporated at that point. The crowd was just completely shook. New York still had a chance to win because it's not over till it's over, but they would bat for 8 more innings, and the feeling was palpable even knowing that the resurgent Red Sox had fully risen from the dead and momentum was on their side. Derek Lowe walked Jorge Posada in the bottom of the second inning, but he was the only one to reach base. In the third, he hit Miguel Cairo, who then stole second base and scored on a single by Derek Jeter. The Yankees got on the board, but they still trailed 6-1. Then after Cabrera walked to lead off the top of the fourth, Damon came up again and swung at the first pitch. He homered again, this time into the upper deck in right field, making it 8-1. Damon had 6 RBIs, and whatever small hope Yankees fans had taken from Jeter's RBI was likely extinguished at that point. Vasquez walked 2 out of the next 3 batters and was replaced by Esteban Loaiza. He gave up a single to load the bases, but then secured the final 2 outs. The Yankees went down 1-2-3 in the 4th inning with only a Bernie Williams fly ball to left leaving the infield. They went down in order in the 5th and in the 6th on a combination of groundouts and strikeouts. Not one ball left the infield. The stadium was starting to empty after the 6th inning because Yankees fans were just starting to lose hope. Considering the perhaps higher intensity of the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry in 2003 and 2004, Alan Wood has said that the idea that Yankees fans would abandon their team in the last 3 innings of an ALCS Game 7 against the Red Sox was truly mind-blowing. So it was definitely a surprise that people were clearing out of the stadium at as quickly of a rate as they were. The Red Sox still held a comfortable lead. Francona surprised everyone by bringing in Pedro Martinez to relieve Derek Lowe in the bottom of the 7th. He apparently had been asked to be used in the game, so then he came in. And on a 2-0 count, Hideki Matsui doubled to the right field corner. And then on an 0-2 count, Bernie Williams doubled off the wall in center to score Matsui. Posada grounded out to first base. Doug Minkowicz, who took over for Kevin Millar, tossed to Pedro covering the bag. Williams ran to third base, and Kenny Lofton singled up the middle into center to score him. The score was now 8-3 at that point, and the New York crowd began to buzz as Lofton stole second. But Pedro was able to strike out pinch hitter John Olerud and get Cairo to fly out to right. So the Yankees were down to their last 6 outs at that point. Leading off in the top of the 8th inning, Mark Bellhorn homered off Tom Gordon off the right field foul pole, basically sending a statement like, we want to win this series. The Red Sox fans in the stadium were so happy at that point, and then Mike Timlin followed it up by setting down the Yankees in order in the bottom of the 8th. Once again, not a ball left the infield. In the top of the 9th, Trot Nixon singled to left. Minkowicz dropped a single into left, and after Miller hit a deep ball enough to center that Nixon could tag up and take third, Cabrera also flied out to center, this time with Nixon tagging up and scoring to make it 10-3. Joe Buck then observed that it was the Red Sox fans making all the noise at Yankee Stadium. Hideki Matsui led off the bottom of the 9th with a single and was forced out on a Bernie Williams grounder to short. After Posada popped up to short, Williams took second on defensive interference. 1 run would hardly matter at that point, and then Lofton walked. Francona brought in Alan Embry to take over for Timlin. He closed it out, inducing Ruben Sierra to ground out to Pokey Reese at second base. The Red Sox then had to soak in the moment. It hadn't really digested to them that they had done what just about everyone had believed was impossible, coming back to win the final 4 games of the best of 7 ALCS. It was the greatest comeback in baseball history and still remains that to this day. Yankee Stadium became the scene of a huge Red Sox celebration. The Boston Globe actually observed thousands of Boston fans gathered in the stands behind the dugout, and players tossed equipment and sprayed champagne into the stands while the throng chanted, "Let's go Red Sox." It was just an unbelievable moment and really indescribable of a feeling for this Red Sox team. Huge credit for Derek Lowe, who pitched on only 2 days of rest and had worked 6 full innings and allowed just 1 base hit. He obviously got the win, and he had gotten in the win in the deciding game of the division series as well. And it also turned out that he was the winning pitcher in the clinching game of the World Series. The Red Sox just continued to ride the momentum they had generated, sweeping the St. Louis Cardinals in 4 games in the World Series. Nobody was stopping or beating them at that point after what they had just done. It was the first of 4 championships the Red Sox won between 2004 and 2018. So the Red Sox have seen so much success since then, but my, oh my, was that an adventurous series. Just lots of emotions going through everybody, and what a special moment to be part of, and for the Red Sox to then finally go on and break the curse in what was a storybook ending. Just an amazing series to relive, and I'm so happy we were able to look back on the key moments from that series, and maybe the 2024 Red Sox will get to celebrate some special things this year too. But in order for them to do that, you have to keep the faith. As always, go Red Sox. I will catch you on the flip side.